Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to the video, and in today's video I am going to be talking all about intermittent fasting. So what exactly intermittent fasting is, what are the benefits, if you should or if you should not do it, and how to set up a typical intermittent fasting diet. So let's start with what is intermittent fasting, and this is basically a diet that cycles between periods of fasting and non-fasting, and there are plenty of ways that you can go about doing this. So for example, there is the 5-2 method of intermittent fasting, and this is basically where you eat normally for 5 days of the week, and then on 2 days of the week of your choice, you severely restrict your calories. There is alternate day fasting, and this is where you fast or at least severely restrict your calories every second day of the week. So for example, you might eat normally on Monday, you might fast on Tuesday, you might eat normally on Wednesday, fast on Thursday, etc. And then another method of intermittent fasting is the 1 meal a day diet, and as the name suggests, this is basically just where you eat one meal during the day and you fast for the rest of it. However, the most common method of intermittent fasting is the 16-8 method, and this is what I am going to be talking about today. And it is basically where you fast or severely restrict your calories for a 16-hour period, and then you consume all of your calories within an 8-hour period. So for example, you might fast from 9 p.m. at night until 1 p.m. the following day, and then consume all of your calories between 1 p.m. and 9 p.m. So for most people, the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting is pretty much just skipping breakfast with a fancy name. However, you can of course work this fasting and feeding window around your lifestyle, and somebody who works nights, for example, might choose to fast between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 p.m. and then consume all of their calories between the hours of 6 p.m. and 2 a.m. So it's important that you make it suit your lifestyle as much as possible. So why would you do intermittent fasting? What are the benefits? Well, first of all, intermittent fasting is very popular amongst those who have a fat loss goal, but it is by no means essential because it is your total daily calories that matter the most when it comes to losing fat. So let's just say your calorie goal is 2,000 calories per day. If you consume those 2,000 calories within an 8-hour window, within a 12-hour window, within a 16-hour window, or whatever, your fat loss is going to be the very same. But for some people, the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting can be a really helpful way to help them create and stick to their calorie deficit. And I personally like to think about it as getting the hard part of the day or the diet out of the way first. So for example, I might fast in the morning times until 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. or whatever time I'm fasting until, and that might be a little bit of a struggle. But when I hit that time, it's a relief and I can eat normally for the rest of the day because I have quite a lot of calories to play around with. And some people find this a lot more useful than trying to space their calories out evenly over a greater period of time. And if you don't track your calories, this 16-8 method of intermittent fasting can be a very useful way to help you create a calorie deficit without thinking about it too much. So for example, let's just say you usually consume a breakfast that contains 500 calories. By cutting this breakfast meal out of your diet and keeping the rest of your meals pretty much the same, you are all of a sudden consuming 500 calories less than you usually do, and this might be enough to get you started on your fat loss journey. And now let's delve into a few things to consider on the 16-8 diet, and the first thing is if it has to be an exact 16-hour fast followed by an exact 8-hour eating window, and the answer is no. These are not magic numbers, and you should let your lifestyle and your daily routine dictate the exact number of hours that you are fasting and eating for. So for example, if you want to stop eating at 9 p.m. at night after your final meal or your final snack, and then have your first meal the following day in work at 12:30, then that is completely fine. The exact number of hours you fast for does not matter. And another common question I get asked is if I can have a cup of coffee during my fast, or can I have a drop of milk in my tea, or can I have some sugar in my tea? And the answer is yes. Remember that the act of fasting itself is not going to speed up fat loss, so don't think that a drop of milk in your tea or your coffee is going to make any difference, and you shouldn't get carried away with the little details. And you might even decide that you don't want to completely fast in the morning and instead you are just going to restrict your calories. So for example, you might usually have a 300 calorie breakfast, but from now on you're only going to have a 100 calorie breakfast. And this technically isn't intermittent fasting anymore, but as long as your calories for the day are the same, it doesn't matter. And finally, I do want to stress that intermittent fasting isn't for everyone, and if you are someone who just loves breakfast, or you can't function very well in the morning times without a meal in you, then don't fast. As I said, there are plenty of other ways to create and stick to a calorie deficit, and spreading your calories out evenly throughout the day might be a better option for you. Alright guys, I am going to wrap the video up there. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it shed a bit of light on intermittent fasting and if it is a viable option for you. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure you give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.